how nostalgia is holding gaming back. And I think this is true.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, WillE here. And nostalgia. It was so much better back in my day. If there's one thing that's going to sell, it's something that you know people have loved beforehand. A safe bet, if you will. Instead of building on and creating things that are new, let's put in place that once successful framework and just do it again. Under new graphics, new ports, tweaked features.
It's like how many fucking... Like, this is the same thing, right? It's like, yeah, every company nowadays, they don't want to try new things because they're worried that that new thing could lose them money. That's why we get a new Spider-Man. We're getting a remake of Top Gun. Who the fuck wanted a remake of Top Gun? Like, no, who asked for this? Like, who asked? Like, I didn't want this. Me? Really? You want a fucking 80s style movie fucking with Tom Cruise being a badass? You, like, how you can't even, like, you can't, no, man. It's a remake, it's a sequel. Let it fucking die. Let it be what it is, okay?
Additions or for a new price tag, of course. And fans of games tend to be quite at the whim of the developer, each successive title an addition to the collection and the latest in the must-play series.
Yep.
But for a long time now, game developers across many a genre have wasted no time to make sure that the games that you grew up with are being brought back to life.
Demon's Souls was
with
great.
A great deal of care and attention that lead old and new audiences alike to rediscover a relic of the past.
I love
now
this game
much less
so much.
clunk and much more spunk. Sometimes you wonder how on earth this was ever given a proper look at, and somebody said, yeah, that's about ready to go. Who am I kidding? We know why. It's for shareholders and quarterly reports, don't we? Maybe this whole video is one big projection from a person and a channel where content has focused around the re-release of a game for a long time, but I've gamed for much longer than this, and it didn't start with MMOs for me either. I think back to it now, and so many of the games which I grew up with have been remastered or re-released now. Is the safety net of a re-release always going to be enough for the game developer and player alike? Or should the future of potential series instead be placed more in the limelight? Should that time and expense be put better elsewhere? Let me tell you a little story of some of my experiences.
I think the Demon's Souls was a great idea of how to remake a game, because Demon's Souls was a remake. It wasn't just a re-release. They changed a number of things. They fixed some things. They rounded off the rough edges. And like overall, like I played Demon's Souls. I probably put like 300, 400 hours into Demon's Souls. It was one of my favorite games, man. Like I loved that. That's why I bought my PS5. Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, a lot of people really like the Final Fantasy VII remake. I think that like a remake of a game is much more appealing to me than a re-release, because I already played the original game in many cases. I don't need to play it again.
Experiences with re-releases and remasters. Spyro Year of the Dragon on PS1 was the first game I ever 100%ed. I love the variety of the levels, the progressions through different homeworlds, which were centered around seasons,
96 exits.
the collectathon theme, all the different games within the game, like the arcade-style shootout level, skateboarding, you had swimming, you had flying. It did a little bit of everything under the guise of the neat package which makes Spyro Spyro. And I remember the one final gem I was trying to get in the main game on that level Spooky Swamp behind some bars. I was stuck trying to figure out how you get that thing forever. I even asked my mum if she could work it out, and I think it was after a lot of trial and effort I finally charged the wall behind the bars, and that turned out that's what you needed to do. Spoiler, I guess. The point is, I played that game a lot, so when I heard that they're going to be remastering the Spyro series, I was hyped to say the least, and to give the other two games in the original trilogy a go as well, which I hadn't played to the same extent. And it was at a friend's house where I first gave it a go. I hopped into the world, there it was, Spyro in all its updated glory. Went onto the first level, charged in some vases, set some things on fire, went into sunny villas, had a look around, did a bit of the skateboarding, and it just felt kind of meh, and within the space of 15 minutes I felt as though I was kind of done with it. It wasn't a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. The animations were great, the world was colourful and vibrant, everything was in place, perfect to my memory. It was just the game itself, the gameplay, and it was me. What made the game back then was still good enough. And
yeah, because you were fucking 7, 8 years old. You were like 11 years old. It's a completely fucking different experience than whenever you come back and you're like 28 years old. You know, because like it's not a mystery to you anymore. It's not new or like, oh wow, I wonder how to figure this out. Like the way that you solved problems whenever you were 8 years old created a much bigger game than the way you solve problems now. It's like nowadays, like beating Super Mario 64. Dude, Super Mario 64 was fucking hard, man. Like, I couldn't figure that shit out at all. I remember that game came out. I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. Can we just go back to the side scroller shit? Like, I gotta worry about like my camera positioning and like this mob can get me. Like, where's my fire flower? I can't just shoot things. Like, what's going on? I have to run around Bowser. Why? What if I touch Bowser and I die? And I guess it was so overwhelming to me for me to deal with. And if you compare that to, you know, now, it's like, okay, so you just watch Miz's stream. Okay, that's what not to do. And so now you go watch Simply. Okay, that's how to play the game. All right. And so then you play that and you just do it the right way. And it's like, oh, there's a star up at the top. Okay, let's jump up to the top. All right, this is the way the angle works. Yeah, watch Clint, somebody like that. Yeah, sure. And well, Clint's probably not streaming, but you know what I'm saying, right? Is that like these kinds of things, it's a completely different experience. That's all it comes down to. It's a completely different experience. And I can go back. I remember I did this with Super Mario RPG. I went back and I played Super Mario RPG. And I remember thinking about all the hard parts in the game. Nothing about the game was hard. I beat like every boss the first try. I got an item and I just read what the item did. And I'm like, oh, well, I can use this item in this way. And then the boss came up and I used the item in that way. And it was easy. I one-shot every boss up to Smitty. That was it.
But these days, I wasn't invested in that anymore.
Yeah, I just read. I read
another game which I spent a lot of time on, as well as just cumulatively between Tomb Raider 1 all the way up to number 5 Chronicles. Yep. We don't talk about After Chronicles for Tomb Raider. And once again, I heard of plans for that to be re-released, which is different from a remaster. I suppose I should have mentioned this earlier. A remaster being a graphical and sound upgrade, a re-release is more of a reimagining of the game. And Tomb Raider 1 was reimagined as Tomb Raider Anniversary, a celebration of the start of the series that, in contrast to Spyro, was pretty good. I liked it, mainly due to the tank controls of TR1 being done away with, and climbing and getting around just felt so much more smooth and accessible, as well as some other things in particular which were smoothed out a little bit. And I suppose I'll have to give Classic WoW a mention. I talk about it now and again on the channel, don't I? It's in a funny spot when you think about it as in a remake versus a remaster, because it's not really either of the two. Yeah. It's quite literally taking a game from over a decade ago and just putting it out again with some back-end changes which are not so visible to the player, such as the increased server size or the Warden from Legion to get rid of.
Yeah, there's a lot of things about WoW Classic that, like, if you played WoW Classic back in the day, you went back to play it now. So one of the guys that helps me manage my investments, he also played WoW, and so he went and he played Classic WoW, and he just said, it's like, yeah, it was the way it used to be, but everybody's a fucking asshole and a dick, and I just quit. Like, that's it. Yeah, he's like, yeah, he just quit. Like, and I think that overall, yeah, it's the same thing, but like, and like he stopped playing because like we talked about it. I was like, yeah, because it's like you had that experience, and it was like, this is something that you did whenever you were in high school, or this is something you did whenever you were in college. And if you go back and you have it again, you just can't have it again. You never go back. Yeah. I think people always want to have like that nostalgia. They always want to have like they're chasing that dragon of having that feeling that they had before, and it's never going to come back.
Bots, which definitely works. If it were a remaster, I'd expect different character models, animations, spell effects, updated sounds, and a soundtrack. We don't have those. For a remake, there would be new abilities and talents, dungeons, raids, battlegrounds, or zones. We don't have that either. Well, I guess that makes it a little bit closer to a remaster than a remake, but ever since the days of Nostarius to Elysium, Lights Hope, and all the fan service to the release of Classic of the game...
Speaking of gaming being different, look at this fucking strat here. For Gruul's Lair, the strat is literally burn down High King Malgar while the tank pops shield wall at 100% health, just so he doesn't die.
Beyond, many players have realized that in fact they don't really just want a copy-paste job, but actually a reimagined experience, a Classic plus version of the game, if you will.
Exactly.
And since Classic has been re-added to the PTR recently, a lot more discussion around this has been flaring up.
I'm really thinking about this a lot.
Different vision for how the game could be improved and just made better. Blizzard also did a survey some time ago to gauge interest, and I'd like to talk about this too, but not in depth here, not now. This deserves its whole own topic. The Diablo 2 Resurrected open beta has just come to a close pending its full release next month, a title which for a change I don't have any nostalgia for. I never really got fully into ARPGs, I just went from MMOs to MOBAs, back to MMOs again. And from what I can tell about the game, aside from the industry standard beta, which is really an alpha that we're using to advertise the game through YouTube and Twitch for free, it seems kind of meh. Like,
yeah, I think Diablo 2 was great back in the day, and I'll play it. I'll probably play through the campaign whenever it comes out, but I'm not like super fucking hyped about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just gonna be what it is, right? Like, I want to see a new game. I want to see Path of Exile 2. I want to see Diablo 4. An old game. Who gives a fuck?
Spyro, not bad by any means. It looks great, and I'm sure as a D2 fan it's going to be a nice trip down memory lane, and probably will be a fun first playthrough through to the end game. But once you hit the end game, solved. Best farm spots, no.
Yep.
Best builds and item combos have been fully mapped out for years and years.
Yep.
It doesn't look like there is anything which will truly make it exceptional anymore. This is similar to what classic WoW fans are really starting to experience. The game is good, and it scratches the itch and meets demands of what so many players want from an MMORPG. But what a remaster can never do to an old player is offer anything new, which sounds kind of very dumb and obvious. But if the Rubik's Cube comes to you solved, what is there left to do? Are you going to try and jumble it up and make it a mess again and resolve it?
Yeah, that's why people play Ret. That's the whole thing, right? Is like, and they do like the speed runs, and they're like, okay, well now it's not about clearing. It's not about clearing it. Now we have to do it really fast, or we have to do something else. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, McConnell wanted to do something different. I mean, you saw how that went. You play Moonkin, exactly. It's something special. Let's say that.
Gonna put it on your shelf to look at and say, that looks nice. When WoW first came out, it completely changed the landscape of the MMORPG genre forever, and still has lasting impacts on it to this day. Despite changing little within Classic, the population of it is something absolutely staggering that any developer would die to have on their game on launch day, let alone on a remake with no new content planned and not much to do for many players after nearly 3 months. Diablo 2 Resurrected feels much of the same, another hugely influential game, and the prequel to D3, which to this day is still one of the best-selling PC titles ever, and has set the tone.
It should not be. Like, I really think that Diablo 3, I think that Diablo 3 has gone nowhere but downhill. It has just gone downhill. Every patch has just made it worse. It's just been like, if Diablo 3 on release had no bugs, it would have been an incredible game. However, there were a lot of bugs. There were so many fucking bugs. It was insane. The auction house? Yeah, I think I agree with you. I didn't like the real money part of it. Yeah, that was bad. But like, I wanted an auction house in Diablo, or like a way to trade. I remember like people for like high value items, because 2 bill was the most that you could sell an item for. For high value items, you would sell them still on D2 JSP from back in the day.
How many other ARPGs set up their UI, inventory, gearing, and just gameplay patterns in general. And as for both of these, they still hold up well due to how much of the landscape of gaming has morphed around their image, as players have flocked back to try them again in their millions. And if you're a fan of the MMO or IRPG in any capacity, you've probably tried them at some point, not just the remakes but the originals. But for today, these games are not exceptional anymore, nor are they groundbreaking in what they deliver, nor should it be expected for a lasting legacy to be built around them once again. It's just a nice visit down memory lane, perhaps to see things again, or other bits that you know you would miss the first time around. Of course, Blizzard really has to get Diablo 2 Resurrected right as well, which, considering the beta was missing a number of classes and the majority of the game...
God, Sylvanas used to be ugly as fuck. So like, one thing I want to say is like, I'll give you an example, is like StarCraft 1. There was a mission that I spent 4 hours on the mission, and I could not for the life of me figure out how to beat this mission. I was stuck on this mission for literally an entire year. For an entire year, I was stuck on this mission, and I was like 7 years old. Well, I was 9, and I realized, I'm like, we'll just build a bunch of battle cruisers, just fucking blow them up. I won the mission in 10 minutes. I won it in 10 minutes. That's all it took, man. That's all it fucking took. Yeah, I got old. I was a stupid kid, right? And I got a little bit older, and I'm like, man, you know, I could just do that instead. It'd be okay.
1 month before release, and the current track record of well, this thing, the train wreck that was Warcraft 3 Reforged a while back, fingers aren't exactly crossed, but I'm hopeful the fans of the series will get something they'll be able to enjoy. Different developer though, so it's got to be better this time, right? Right? And for Blizzard, if you look back, they've redone World of Warcraft, StarCraft, Diablo. They've re-released their arcade set of games, their words, such as Lost Vikings and Rock'n'Roll Racing, which were announced at BlizzCon 2021. Hearthstone and Overwatch have contained game modes emulating earlier versions. And if we look over Activision, Modern Warfare has been redone as well. Surely they're gonna run out of stuff to do again soon, right? Surely gaming is gonna run out of stuff to do soon enough, right? Are we going to see Fortnite Classic in 10 years from now? Oh.
Yes, actually, I would love to see Fortnite Classic. Like, if you can give me the Fortnite that came out whenever Ninja was playing with Drake, I will go back and I'll play it. Like, give me Classic Fortnite and I'll play Classic Fortnite. I won't play it a lot. I'll just play it a few times, you know? It'd be cool. You know, as a little event.
Building was so much better back in my day. Can the charm of nostalgia work just so strongly
double pump,
again
and
again and again? Well, in some cases, yes, it certainly can. You may think Blizzard has re-released a lot of their games, but oh man, you haven't seen anything
Skyrim
when it comes to Bethesda's one-game wonder, Skyrim. Released 11/11/11. It's coming up to its 10-year birthday all too soon, and you'll never guess what. But Todd and the boys are re-releasing it. Again, they're probably going to sell millions. Again, they can't keep getting away with this. And you know what the anniversary...
Who keeps buying these? Like, I don't understand. Like, who buys Skyrim for the 11th time? Like, what is this, me? But why? What are you doing with your time? What do you... I don't understand it.
Edition has, including the base game, the special edition, the DLCs. Fishing. Yep, fishing. There has to be a dozen mods out there which do this for free, but what the hell, let's chuck a few more dollars at Todd, shall we? Counting all possible releases, if we're including ports that is, it's well over 10, including Bethesda literally doing a meme release and putting Skyrim on Alexa. No, really, voice-activated Skyrim, it's a thing. Trust me, people, I couldn't make this up. And that's pretty damn impressive for a decade-old game to be going this strong. A single-player one at that. Unique, almost. And Elder Scrolls 6 will follow up 1 year later too. We'll see if that lasts just as long. Doesn't exactly put much of a fire under the developer to make something new which adds to the series, innovates, or makes improvements to complaints commonly found in the original game though. Maybe this is a good thing that the game can be propped up by its past while the dev works away on its future. So much extra time and effort can be put in at a time where it's all too common to see highly anticipated games rushed out to disastrous launches to appease suits and spreadsheets. Or maybe it's easy to justify outsourcing a previously successful title.
We gotta see that one again, dude.
Rushed out to disastrous launches to appease suits and spreadsheets. Or maybe it's easy to justify outsourcing a previously successful title whilst you watch the dollars roll in, not feeling all too pushed to get the next big thing in the works.
See, like, I don't really give a fuck about bugs like that. I think they're funny and cute, you know? It's like, oh, look at it. Ooh, it's a little bit goofy and stupid, you know? It's completely fine, you know? Like, I don't really care about that kind of stuff. It doesn't matter that much to me. Now, what really matters to me is if the game is bad. Like, if the game plays like shit. It's like in PUBG, right? Where you get behind a wall and you get shot. And like doesn't work with the way it does in CSGO, right? That's not supposed to happen. Like like the jankiness can be endearing, but the game has to be good somewhere.
Because oftentimes when I see release or remaster, if I hadn't played it in the past, I'm just not really too interested, and I'd rather see the dev put their time into something new rather than trying to re-deliver the old again. Like when FromSoft finally remastered Dark Souls 1 so it's playable on PC. I'd already ended up trying it a few years ago back when the community had DS fix, because back then FromSoft said, nah, CBA, LOL, just get a console. I'm a lot more interested in Elden Ring, for example, than doing that thing again. The roast into the past, however, is a hard allure to resist. And
this is the problem with like a Demon Souls. The reason why Demon Souls was really short-lived is because the Demon Souls PvP was just so fucking one-dimensional. There was like 5 or 6 good builds, And it didn't matter, like, yeah, it was just so one-dimensional. John Souls, man. Like, yeah, exactly. I still remember that one time, that one fucking video. Like, I watched him every single night, where there was those 3 guys, and he was RP walking, and he takes the fucking sword, and he's just knocking them off the fucking pillars. Like, it was just so... Oh my god, it was so fucking amazing. Like, it was some of the best content I'd ever seen. I loved it. Yeah, it points down. Yeah, the whole fucking thing.
Started with, it's a surefire way to almost know for certain that something you're having to put, frankly, much less time and effort into redeveloping, since a tremendous amount is done already, like the story, enemy design ideas, track placements, level design, the musical score, which all have to be remastered, of course, but the base ideas, the foundations are all laid for you. It's an easy plot to build a gold mine on. In fact, for a remaster or remake to not have a good degree of success is much more surprising than for it to do well. But developers redoing successes of the past will always...
I love how, like, whenever he said that, I was like, well, what about Warcraft Reforged? That was the next fucking scene, man. The next fucking scene.
As for us, the buyers, if it keeps printing monies for the devs, I don't see it becoming any less popular and for newer titles to take precedent. Yeah. And you might find all of this a bit strange from a guy who plays a hell of a lot of classic WoW. The raids are why for me. That's the bit I missed back in the day. Raids are fun. That's what I'm revisiting. In fact, I would prefer it if they took all this time and effort trying to get the new stuff as good as it can be it for retail's next expansion, or content for classic that doesn't purely just follow the blueprint of the original game, but aims to take it in a new direction within the spirit of it. Do I want to do TVC PvP? No thanks. Do I want to go and farm a Nether Drake when that comes out in 2022? Yeah, I think I'll pass. When you take a look across gaming as a whole, you realize how incredibly common it's become to re-release and remaster, as well as why that makes sense. And it's such a safe choice. It makes dollars. It feels to some extent the appeal of the old might be starting to wear just a little bit thin. It has been many years.
See, that's what we think, right? Because, like, we're like serious gamers, but the reality is, like, your casual dad of 2 who sees that they're re-releasing Super Mario World again, or they're re-releasing Skyrim again, and it reminds him of back whenever he played it in college with the boys. He's gonna buy it again, man. And that's the problem, is like you've got all these fucking casual gamer dads. They're just gonna buy it again. They're gonna, oh, let's buy it again. Oh my god.
Now, since this has become a commonplace, maybe that's just me though. The thing is, I know what I like from the past. The developers
gamer dads
know what players like
everything
from the past, but the future, the fresh, the new puzzles to solve, the new builds to figure out, the unknown. That's where the true intrigue will always lie. Yeah. I don't think cashing out on the past is going anywhere anytime soon.
No, it's not.
Be it at the expense of the future, even though I would like to see it going that way. That's the video though. Let me know your thoughts and how you feel about remakes and remasters, and whether they do have any effect on anything new coming out potentially as well. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching and listening in. I'll see you all in the next one very soon.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are trying to hold classic WoW back. I think classic WoW can be a lot bigger than what it is, and it would be great if people got out of that mentality and they actually let the game become what it's meant to be, what it actually can be. What's the music? It's just like the Night Elf music from Vanilla WoW. That's about it. As Great Todd Howard said, if he wants to stop re-releasing Skyrim, then stop buying it. Exactly, yeah. It's the same thing as, like, there's a lot of people like, oh man, I hate whenever this guy streams this. And, like, everybody in the chat somehow hates whenever somebody streams something, but they're always there watching it. They're like, man, I hate whenever you stream this, dude. God, man, I've seen every single one. It's like, oh my God, like, what is this? That's what they do. You glorify the past whenever the future dries up. True and real. I've never heard that quote before. I'm all for nostalgia, but it's too much of a crutch for companies nowadays. They're too afraid and lazy to innovate something new whenever there's an enormous audience of people that are content with reliving remastered content. Yeah, I think that if, like, for example, I had played, if they re-released Dark Souls, okay? Like, the Dark Souls is one of my favorite games. If they re-released the original Dark Souls, would I play it if it had really good graphics? I hate to say it, but the answer is yes. I probably would. And they just did. Yeah, Dark Souls remastered. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, of course I'd play it again. I would, but like if there were other games that were remastered, like WoW or something like that, or not WoW, like Mario World or Super Mario World, something like that, I probably wouldn't. So it just depends on which game it is. Yeah, I think that's it. So yeah, I guess I'm a casual dad. All right, I'll look at a few things on Reddit that I do want to get started and actually play the game, do a little bit of that. Imagine that. Asmon Jack-O-Lantern Challenge. What is